Hi, my name is Dee Dee Jones. I'm an associate pastor right here at Lovers Lane United Methodist Church, and I am so excited today. Hope Connection, if you have joined us, we have got a good podcast for you today. I have a special guest.
Hello.
My bestie Randy Austin came in with me today, and my bro. I'm excited you're here today.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
This is going to be a good one.
It is.
This is going to be a good one. Our special guest today is a lady that is special in our world at Lovers Lane. Her name is Andrea Tabor. And she is a queen. Let me tell you, this woman takes care of our 12-step ministry. And we're going to kind of talk through what that looks like and maybe educate some of those that have no idea.
Yeah.
They think they know a little bit about it, but Andrea is going to share some of those stories with us. Also, we have exciting things going on over there too today.
Exciting.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How many years have you been doing this? We were
so I have been with 12-Step now for almost 9 years.
Wow.
And it's been quite the journey.
Wow.
Yes, so I've been here. I'll be celebrating my 9 years in October.
So tell us a little bit about 12-Step, like maybe even things we wouldn't know and what that means. And
yeah, because I think when people think of 12-step, they think immediately of just alcohol or drugs.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah.
Is there more involved to that? Because I don't know much about it myself personally, so I would love to know more about.
So sure. I mean, so 12 steps, of course, the beginning was Alcoholics Anonymous, right? That was the core. And every fellowship, which there are fellowships, that's what they're called. Each area of addiction is a fellowship.
Okay.
And each one of those fellowships uses the 12 steps of AA as their core. They may change one word. My life became unmanageable due to, meth.
Right.
Or, so there's a line in there, maybe a couple of other lines where it can be inserted specific to that addiction category.
Okay.
So they all use the same. And gosh, there is a support group for everything.
Wow.
Okay.
Alcohol, drugs, behavior, gambling, is a behavior. Sex addiction is a behavior. Codependency is a behavior. And then there's also other support for family and friends like adult children of alcoholics or Families Anonymous or Al-Anon.
Okay.
And so, the oldest ones that everybody is very familiar with are Alcoholics Anonymous and then Al-Anon, which is for family friend support.
Right. Sure.
So, they all go by the same philosophies. There's 12 steps of the program, and then there's 12 traditions of the program, which I think that traditions can get a little bit tricky because as time is changing everything, it's changing the 12 steps as well. So it was very regimented in the beginning back when Bill Wilson and they started all of it. It was very regimented. It was, okay, yes, the 12 steps, which are still true today, those haven't changed. But the traditions and how they're perceived by new generations is what's really changing. So as an example, one of those traditions would be we can't promote.
Okay.
Okay, so what does that mean, right?
Right.
Seriously, isn't promotion me telling you
Right.
that I'm in this program and maybe this program would be good for you? That seems like promotion, right?
Okay.
But that is attraction
Sure.
more than it is promotion.
Okay.
And so, and then when you think of promotion, the real philosophy around that was, I'm not going to stand up in front of a group of thousands of people and say, I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, like to the general, folks. Because then if it gets reported that I fell off the wagon, then
the program doesn't work.
That's right.
Okay.
Then the program, so that's kind of how things go within 12 steps. And our role at 12-step ministry is we have fellowships that meet at our facility, And so they have their own traditions and 12 steps, but we are able to promote on behalf of all of them. So we took that whole philosophy of promotion and everything, and we placed it in the ministry's hands on behalf of them so that we can go out and tell everybody what we have to offer all in one place. So that kind of took down that whole promotional argument within the fellowships.
Wow.
So that's how we came, that's what we do. And we're able to do that because we're not the program. 12-Step Ministry is not the program. We support the program that we host.
Wow.
So when you walk through the doors, what should they expect walking through those doors?
Well, the first thing is there's no markings on the building. There's no markings anywhere that, state what happens there. When they enter into, or somebody says, you need to go find a 12-step program. They walk into a room scared to death.
Right.
Much like church every Sunday for some people.
It's like, what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to navigate this? So they'll enter a room of whatever they're there for specifically. They'll have people shake their hand and introduce themselves.
Okay.
They will sit and they will wait.
Okay.
And so there's a peer-led leader for each meeting, right? And they're different for every meeting because it's 100% peer-led.
Okay.
There's no therapist. There's none of that. It's strictly peer-led. And so, they start to begin to listen to probably a topic and listen to other people share their story on that topic. And they probably leave thinking that I don't know if that was for me the first time. Because it's hard to connect to a certain degree within that first meeting. But, as the meeting closes, they're typically an hour. It's very structured. It's not just willy-nilly. It's very structured, and the leader kind of keeps that structure going. And if it's an hour meeting, they start and they finish in the hour.
Wow.
It doesn't go on and on and on. So I think sometimes people think I can't listen to all the sadness. I can't. I have my own sadness. Right. How can I go in this room and listen to the sadness? But you don't only hear the sadness, you hear the hope, you hear the positive stories. You hear the stories of redemption. You hear, how people are successful in their journey. And then when it's over, people will come up and they'll introduce themselves, and somebody will usually approach someone and say, "Would you like a sponsor?"
Okay.
And it can either be a yes or no. I think that one of the interesting things is that each fellowship prays.
That's awesome.
They all pray. So when people start to have that conversation about 12 steps, is it God? Is it not? Is God in there? This is a religious program. They all pray. They say either the serenity prayer. They usually say the short version, not the long version. They'll say the Lord's Prayer. Or they'll start with the serenity and end with the Lord's Prayer. So God is in the midst of all that. I mean, the word God is in each of the steps and traditions as it goes through. So how can he not be there when he's named in there? And so I think there's been some real misunderstanding about that.
Sure. I get that. Yeah.
But we can always touch on that if you if you want to. But that's kind of what someone would go through walking into a meeting and then leaving that day. And what we tell them is try 6 meetings before you decide.
Well, I think we were having that discussion though earlier. We were talking about the fact that, and I love that point because I do think God being the center is important, but I think there's an element of accountability that we each have to own for our actions and what we do. It's one thing to say, "Hey, God, we'll take care of it." But sometimes realizing God taking care of it is us also putting action to those words. Is that
That's true. It's very true because I think that there's religious wounding.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right. And so someone doesn't necessarily want to hear someone talk to them about religion, right? So 12-step is a spiritual journey. it talks about a higher power. And your higher power, a lot of times when you first walk into a meeting, or an individual walks first into a meeting, their higher power is that group.
Got it.
So the accountability and the, this isn't just you come in here, you spill your guts and you leave. There's more to it than that. And they talk about the spiritual journey. They do not talk about, you have to have a relationship with God, or
Right.
There's no you have to's, because the you have to's is what got us in trouble in the first place.
Right.
And so it's not that. Now, will someone get up and talk about where they are in their lives, saying, I've now reconnected. Yes, it was my higher power, but I've connected to God, and that's what keeps me. There's the freedom to do that, but it's not preaching. It's just, and somebody may say, my higher power in today is this meeting, or it's my friends, my support group, my therapy group.
Yep.
It can be anything. It's just the beginning of the connection between, and where spirituality is, and wherever you are in that, it is accepted by a group of strangers. That, we all don't want people to be able to see inside of us and see what we're really struggling with. But the requirement at some point is to get that into the air, and to get it into the air in a safe environment. And that's what a 12-step program provides, is the safe atmosphere. Wow. To share those dark moments.
Wow.
And so, 12-step across the street has been there. I mean, this is year 35.
Wow.
And, pre-COVID, we'd see 5,000 people a month come through the door.
Wow.
Now we're, COVID did some damage.
Sure.
But we're rebuilding and building back up, and building a new structure, because we were at capacity. And so it just goes to show that even though we're affiliated with the church and it says 12-step ministry, it was still that many people coming. So they were so willing to do whatever it took to get over that, maybe that injury, that religious injury that they were facing, that they were willing to do whatever it took to test this thing out, because we've been around for so long. Wow. And so we're trusted.
Wow. What a testimony, too.
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about, in that process, because I loved some words that you used with us earlier, Andrea, about it's not just about fixing the problem. It's also about understanding it emotionally and spiritually. And, because sometimes I think we think, okay, I'm going to go into this and I'm going to get the problem solved. But it's deeper than just the problem, right?
Right. So, emotional sobriety is what we were talking about earlier. So, there is, that's why this is a lifelong.
Right.
This is lifelong. Addiction is lifelong. It's like diabetes and having to take insulin. You have to, there's maintenance that goes along with it. And in that maintenance, there are different periods where you get this sobriety. So the initial sobriety is clean from either the physical, chemical, or in behavioral addictions, dealing with that behavior, sex addiction, codependency, gambling, whatever that is, right? Is it cease and desisting that? So, so you give your mind and your body time to clear and go, so how do I sustain that? Okay. So that's kind of the beginning. Right. And there's no time on it. Because everybody is different. And so you get this physical change, a spiritual change, okay, I'm willing to buy into this program, and I'm going to approach it spiritually rather than religiously. So that's kind of that first bulk. You gather around with friends, you begin to have a new community, a sober community, whatever that looks like, but learning how to have fun again and learning how to deal with hard things in your life without going to that behavior. So that's kind of the clean of the body and the mind first, and the behavior. And then you dig deeper. A sponsor is a person, I mean, I could talk all day long about what a sponsor does, but a sponsor, one thing that they talk about in the program is that you have to find a sponsor because your sponsor cannot, your family member or your friend cannot be the person that you talk about this with every day. But your sponsor, you do. Right. Because they know and understand.
Got that. Okay.
So I went out last night and I picked up a girl in a bar.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's the solution? What are you going to do now? That's the sponsor's role. The sponsor's role is not to judge, not to say this is what you need to do. It's to allow you to stand on your own 2 feet, to come up with a decision of what to do next, if that happens. But then they also take them through the 12 steps. Each step individually, there's workbooks, there's things that you have to do, because the 12 steps is great. I'm going to stay sober, I'm going to, create this great new life, but there's amends. There is talking about pride.
Yep.
There is, just all of these things that really starts to get into you and who you are so that you can, again, release this stuff, right? Like releasing it into the air when you speak about it. So a sponsor takes you there. So that takes you to the next bulk, right? And I think that anybody in recovery would tell you that they've learned the most about themselves in that process and realized that they had a huge ego and they were full of pride and hurt and pain and all of that. But, addicts just are typically very selfish people.
Yeah.
So when you look at the 12 steps and the steps that your sponsor takes you through, the 12th step is about giving back what you were so willfully given, right? And so that's the 12th step is, okay, now I've learned all this stuff and I've done all this stuff and now I got to give it back. So then there's that, but have you really achieved emotional sobriety? Emotional sobriety even takes that to another level. And many people have to use professionals to get there, but many people don't have to use professionals because they stay in their program. They stay with their circle of people. They have what they call a home group. That's where they got sober. They stay there. Those people, they all help to carry each other through the next process. And so emotional sobriety is now, I lost my job, my brother got killed, I've relapsed, all of those things that takes emotional sobriety to, it takes the emotional sobriety to get through those things without having my first reaction to be, well, let me go just, snort that line of Coke. It's, okay, I want to go snort that line of Coke, but what's going to happen after that? My wife's going to leave me. I can't stop. I don't have an off button. So that emotional sobriety comes. And when you talk to somebody who's been, sober for 20 years, they can explain that really in great detail because that's what it took so that they could have the off button.
Andrea, this is awesome. I feel like we're just getting started on this. You are amazing. I will say that anytime, as a pastor, when we've needed this kind of help with parishioners or people that come in and say, hey, we're at our last rope and this is where we've landed. And Andrea has always been there. And to watch these people that you care for, even as a pastor, go through these programs. And then you feel you feel this safety for them and this trust for them because, first of all, hey, Andrea is going to do nothing but take care of them. But to know that this process has been something to help them genuinely be what God created them to be is pretty incredible. And we thank you for that. And we appreciate that. And so I think we're just getting started. So I think we should do an Andrea part 2. So hang on. We're going to bring her back to be with us. And
I love it.
What do you think about that,
I think
Randy?
that would be amazing.
I'm so glad you are here today, and what an honor it is to have you as well. Listen, you can find us at llumc.org. or any platform where there is a podcast. And we want you to know that we mean it when we say that you are loved, that you are cared about, and there is a hope for tomorrow. It may not feel that way and it may not seem that way, but God did not create you to live hopeless. God created you to live in hope. And sometimes it takes a little bit to get there, but you can get there. We love you and we look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.